All right, so here we got Maggie, and Maggie's just a hot mess. She's she's a mess, and her mom knows she's a mess. Maggie doesn't like to be groomed at all, and yeah, she hates her legs brushed. Like, so if your dog's getting into this kind of condition, this is gonna have to be shaved off. You can't brush this stuff out, okay? You just can't. This is a wall from her shoulder down to there, okay? Whoop, you all right, Max? She hates it. She hates you touching her front legs. She hates it being clippered, bathed, dried, anything. She hates it. So this is a wall of mat right here. These ears, these are what we call pillows. So there's a big mat that right there. That's all matted. The ear here is not too bad. And the back leg is one big wall of mats from her knee to here, okay? So if you've got this at home, you're really not gonna brush this out. If I was gonna brush it out, which I'm not, I'm just gonna take her short and shave her because it's the best thing for Mags. Right? But if you were gonna try, what I do is I get my scissors and I take one big monster mat, one big huge mat, and I make a whole bunch of little mats out of it. And I go from the skin out with my scissors. Okay. Did I say scissors or skizzers? Scissors. I said scissors? I think you did. Okay, I've got a feeling I said skizzers. These kind of things, like I was saying in the other video, the kitchen scissors, yeah, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. They're too big and bulky and they're bloody dangerous. So you hold up a piece with your thumb, find a hunk, and gently go at it. Okay, so I got that bit out. So now I'm going to work on the next bit that's above. Right? That came out. So now, where's the next clump of mats? There they are. This is probably matting because Maggie goes outside in the yard and gets dirty and mucky when she goes out to do her business, and when she comes in, her mom quite likely, I didn't think to ask her, her mom quite likely puts her in the kitchen sink and scrubs, right? And cleans her feet and her legs because she's all sloppy and messy and then doesn't run a brush over her. And I get why she wouldn't, because Maggie can't stand it. She's being pretty good right now. She's tolerating me. But that's what that is, most likely, is mom trying to keep her clean and not brushing and combing out after she's had a scrub in the kitchen sink or the laundry tub or wherever she's doing it. That's a common thing. Usually when the dog is white, right? Dog goes outside for 5 minutes, dog comes in black. Everybody's upset about that. So they put it in the bath and bath it, but then they forget the most important part, and that's the brush and comb out. Because if you've got any kind of knots or mats in there, in the legs, anywhere, and you bath your dog, you make it tighter, right? And they get tighter and they get bigger, so it just becomes like this, you know, speaking of viruses, it's like a virus of mats. And we get it a lot, quite often with a dog that's white and that's little. Okay, so it's coming out not too bad. I'm surprised. And and that's probably because she's clean, because mom's been bathing her. I know she has, right? There's not really any dirt here. Okay. So that's also a problem when you're trying to brush and comb out your dog and keep them mat free. When they're dirty, it's 10 times harder, right? So you're better off to get them in the bath, get them clean, and where's my comb? There it is. Get them in the bath, get them clean, then don't forget to do the most important part. Well, not the most important part, but the next really important part, which is the brush and the comb. So my comb's actually going through there pretty good. She's got a little bit of a snag in her toe. And she's not freaking out. That didn't take me very long. Right, see how I hold my brush? Right, I don't hold my brush like stiff in my hand, and this is how people tend to do things when they're brushing. It's not, just relax, breathe. Hold it like a paintbrush, okay? And the way that you hold your dog, like see my fingers? See my fingers underneath? Right? Schmags. See my fingers underneath, my fingers there and my thumb here, right? I'm working on this leg so I can manipulate that leg with my fingers. See? Good job, Mags. Now, I'm going to get a totally different reaction from Maggie when I go to the front legs. See, when I go up here, I'm holding the skin kind of tight. Just because I don't want to go pulling it and yanking it. That's kind of rude. Okay. Schmags. And then you got to make sure you check your work with your metal comb, because this is your lie detector, right? All the little lies that you tell yourself about what a great groomer you are and how great your tools and equipment are will be told to you with this, okay? Your metal comb, okay? So when you get a snag, see, watch. See? She's got all kinds of snags underneath, right? Watch. Right? Lift it up and have a look. It's quite knotted under there. See? I can't believe you're being so good, Max. It's not uncommon for little Miss Maggie Moo to not come after me. I don't want to say that, but she's not a fan of the grooming. But her hair, like, she's elderly and her hair is really thin, so her mom tries to keep it long, because if I have to take it short, it does not look nice. And that's another part, is that you get into this piece of you want the hair long so that you don't see the skin, but it gets to a point where it's too long and it's too hard for owners who are not professionals to manage it, right? See how I pick up? It's called line brushing. Hold on, babes. And you're not going to achieve, pardon me, you're not going to achieve anything if you're doing this on the kitchen floor, or you're doing this on the couch, or or anywhere that's not up on a flat raised level surface that's got a non-skid mat of some kind. Okay, you have to get them up off the floor. The floor's playtime, the floor's snuggle time, the bed, the couch, all that kind of thing is snuggle time. This is business, and we got business to take care of, right? So a lot of people don't realize that. First thing I ask people is, well, where are you doing your grooming? So, oh, he doesn't like it and he just walks away and all that stuff. Well, where are you doing it? On the floor. Well, there's your first key to success, is getting them up off the floor. So you would get a non-skid mat of some kind and you'd put it on your washing machine, or you would put it on your dryer, of course. Obviously, depends on how big your dog is, right? And you got to put the non-skid mat on so that it doesn't send them sailing, because if the dog gets on a raised surface and it's wobbly, they lose confidence. And when they lose confidence and they feel scared and intimidated, all is lost, right? So you get them up there and make sure that they're not feeling timid about it. I'm going to do the same thing with this leg and see what we get. I just want to do it because I want to show people about brushing and combing, right? So I go from the skin out. People will, what they'll do is they'll grab a mat and they'll go like this and they'll cut it, right? And then sometimes the hide comes off with it. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's what people do. And then the dog's going for staples, right? I never do that. I never pull and cut mats. I don't cut mats, period, ever. Just don't. And I'm handling thousands of dogs a year. It's just not safe. If you insist on cutting out mats, what you're going to do is you're going to grab the mat, you're going to pull off from the skin, come in with your scissors, and you're going to cut against your flesh, against your tips of your fingers, so that you know without a doubt that if you're going to cut something, it's you and not the dog. Do I recommend you do it? Nope. Nope, I don't. It helps if you can manipulate the hair with your fingers and feel. Well, there's a mat, right? And I'm brushing the mat over top of my finger, so I'm not doing that over top of Maggie's skin because that would give her brush burn, right? I've got it, the skin is pinched in between my index finger and my thumb right here, and I'm brushing over top of my finger, so if anything's gonna get brush burn, it's my own finger and not the dog. Okay, that's important. Here I can't really do it, but where I can pick up the matting in between my fingers and brush it over my hand, I do. See, there's a spot I can pick up. And owners that are just starting to learn about this kind of thing, they're going to be all thumbs and elbows for a long time, but you just got to stick with it and practice, right? The first time you went snowboarding or skiing, you were probably pretty crappy at it, weren't you? Right? First time you drove a car, you probably weren't that great. All that kind of stuff, right? You just practice. So I'm going to start working from the foot up. See how I manipulate my brush? Sometimes I'm holding my brush like this when I'm brushing down. And then other times I'm holding my brush like this when I'm doing something different. Like it moves around a lot. Gosh, that's a tight one in there. I can get it picked up in there. Now I'm brushing it over my fingers. This is a fairly stiff slicker brush. It's not a soft slicker brush. That's another problem that people are not aware of if they buy a slicker brush that's too soft in the pins. They're just going over the top of the coat, and then what's against the skin is not getting combed and brushed out properly, or not getting brushed out properly. And then if they don't follow through with the metal comb like I showed you, right, they think they're doing a great job. But if you're not getting down to the skin, see how I'm holding her? I got my elbow on my table. I got my hand kind of like on her thigh and her knee. And I'm pushing her foot forward. See? She's moving back on me a little bit. But I've got her supported in the back end with my holding hand. If you get a knot in the foot and the toe area, don't go yanking and pulling on that, because that really smarts. And they'll give you heck for that. See how I hold my comb? Right? You don't want the comb with a handle on it. You want a comb that's like this, a combination comb, combination metal comb. Oop, see there? I pulled and she said, hey. Okay? So I got that brushed out. Not too bad. Tails. Let's go to tails. Tails is like a girl's ponytail or a horse's tail, which we're quite well versed at. So I'm pinching the bone of her tail between my fingers, and the hair on this side is going over the heel of my hand. Right? That's my skin that brush is going over, not hers. I'm holding the bone of the tail in my hand so that this doesn't pull when I get hit knots with my brush, okay? I'm holding it tight in my hand, in my holding hand, to, I don't know, how do we word that, Jess? It's like you're it's to do with tension, right? If you just go like this, like that's not nice. Like you're pulling and yanking. So if I hold it with my hand, my holding hand, it's not so hard on the dog. But you got to watch that bone, because it's really easy to give your dog brush burn on their tail. See how I'm holding my brush?
The brush is better because you're adding some resistance.
Huh?
The brush is better because you're adding some resistance. You're not just...
Yeah, that's right. It's like it's really hard to explain, isn't it? Something that you do every stinking day for 25 years. It's not hard to explain. It's hard to explain all the different maneuvers and movements that I do. That's over my index finger. My index finger's underneath here, right? That knot that was there, I was brushing that over top of my index finger. I know there's knots in there still. I can see them and I can feel them. And you can also tell, because if you listen. Can you hear that? She's in a great mood. Usually she's beating the crap out of me because she hates it. So you can hear that sound. Those are knots. Right? Those are the tines of the brush trying to pull through knots. When you don't have that sound anymore, it's a pretty good possibility that you don't have any knots. But to make sure, pick up the good old lie detector. Okay, boom. Okay, now, this may all come crashing down when I get to the front legs. That's her big issue, but I still got junk in here. See how I pick up the hair? And you can see it here. It's a sensitive area there, okay? And another way to get at that area is to pick up the front leg and go at it this way, okay? But this is a wall, right from her chest right back. It's just a solid wall. Because the only explanation I've got is that it's because Mom basks her in the kitchen sink all the time and then doesn't brush it out. So let's do this part. Hold on to the face, right? That's your handle. Start at the back of the eye socket and we'll brush back. See how I'm holding the brush? I hold it different ways, but it's more like this right now. That's how I hold it for this section, right? It's more like that. Okay, now I'm going to pull the ear forward. So I got this hand. It's going to grab this ear. It's going to come around and hold the face and hold the ear out of the way. Because the back of the ear, as you can see, it's a big honking mat back there. So she probably rubs her face on the carpet a lot and on the upholstery. That's what that tells me. After she's had a bath. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Oh, the little things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with this area as I did with the back leg. You always go from the skin out. If you're going to do this, you would never do that. Don't stinking do that. You know, to me, people doing this to cut out a mat is like snow getting stuck and ice getting stuck in the auger of your snowblower, and you sticking your hand in there to clean it out while it's still running. Right? It's like picking up the lawnmower while it's still running. And
Picking out a branch from under your push lawnmower with your sandals on while it's still running.
exactly. Picking out a branch out of the lawnmower with your sandals on while it's still running is what Just said. It's what it's like. It just makes me go, right? Danger, danger, danger.
I could go on for days with that one.
You can go on for days about what? About what? The sandals and the lawnmower, or what?
Yeah, that problem.
Why?
I don't know.
Have you been picking branches out of the lawnmower?
No, but I know farmers that do so.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I guess that's why we're so safety conscious, is because we both grew up on farms, essentially, right? So, and we got into it as kids. Like, we should not be alive today, right? I don't know. Maybe not you. You didn't do too much crazy. You did you? Yeah. Right? So, anyway, neither one of us should be alive. And, yeah. So, when it comes to dangerous things, been there, done that, got the stinking t-shirt, can see the writing on the wall before it happens. Don't cut the mats out of the dog. I had a lady that had 12 staples on one part of the dog, and like, I don't know, I don't remember, 9 staples on another. Like, she not only did she screw it up once, but she went in for more. She just wasn't finished, right? Like, she did it twice.
It's gonna cost me $3,000 to get this fixed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was just gobstopped. She had the staples put in the dog because she, you know, was clearly like the gaping geyser of a wound on the dog. So has the staples put in, and then 3 days later she calls me and wants to know if I'll groom around the staples. And I'm like, lady, your mats are the worst, the least of your worries right now. You know? Sorry, that was probably harsh. But sometimes when it comes to sharp things,
Harsh is better than staples.
harsh is better than a whoops. I got lots of girlfriends who are vet techs, and they're patching people's dogs up all the time because dog owners are doing dumb stuff. Right? Sorry, I don't want to insult anybody, but this is really difficult. Look at you, Mags. How come you're being so kind today? Usually she's just beating the living tar out of me.